This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, good morning everyone. Shalom Aleichem, Ruchim Habayim. It's a beautiful day here in New York. 67 degrees, mostly sunny. So it's perfect weather to learn Mishna Berura Tzitzis. We're learning Siman Ches. We're in the middle of the Mechaber on Seif Aleph. The Mechaber said the Iker Mitzvah of the Talis Katan is to wear it on top of your begadim so that you should always see it and remember the mitzvahs. What's interesting is that our minhag is we wear the Talis Katan under the shirt, which is very interesting that we would follow the Kabbalah over the Halacha. You know, where the Mechaber says to wear it over the shirt, and based on the Kisvei Ari, we wear it underneath. The Mishna Berura is now in the middle of talking about the importance of the tzitzis being apparent. I will tell you something interesting. In the yeshiva that I learned in, the official custom of the yeshiva was not to put the tzitzis out. And that comes from Slabotka, where the Alter of Slabotka held that practices that are chumras, or that's what we call frumkeit, but not really rooted in Iker Hadin, they're dangerous. They could bring tegaiva, that's one of the reasons. So in the yeshiva, they de-emphasized chitzonios. That was like in Slabotka, they did not wear the tzitzis out. But again, al pi halacha, the Mishna Berura says that it seems to fly in the face of an open pasuk in this week's parsha, uriisem oisai, especially the Mishna Berura says, let's start again from Chavav Yereo, kama dechsiv, uriisem oisai uzachartem, va'oisan hu anoshim ha'masim ha'tzitzis be'amachnasayim shem, those who put the tzitzis in their pants or in their undergarments, loidai shema'alim einayim imay dechsiv uriisem oisai uzachartem, not only are they ignoring that which it says you should see it and remember, oid mevazen hein es mitzvahs Hashem Yisbarach, they are mevaza the mitzvahs of Hashem. Vasidin hein litein es hadin alzeh, they are going to have to give an accounting for this. Uma shoimrim shalochem bein anachim, that which is say, well, they go among goyim. Lezaha yadai shesim atzitzis b'seicha knaf. For that, it would be enough to put the tzitzis in the corner of the garment itself, but not that it should be on a person's skin, or especially the way we're reading it in the undergarment. Now, it does come out that the Mishna Berura is saying if somebody works in the secular world, there is makayim, as the Mishna Berura is saying very clearly, that one would be allowed to keep the tzitzis sort of in the corner of the garment itself. Now, I believe the Chafetz Chaim writes in the Sefer Shmiras Halashain, quoting the Sefer Charedim, that there is an inyan just to look at tzitzis. In other words, if you're sitting around, you're at a dinner, and the guy starts off, I'm not really a speaker. You know that guy who, if he's telling you already he's not a speaker, then this is going to be the most painful 8 minutes, probably longer, that you ever experienced. Once he's telling you he's not a speaker, if he would have said he is a speaker, maybe there's a 5% chance he's a speaker. But he's moideh, so, moideh b'knas, he's pater, but it's going to be torture. So, and you're not going to hear one thing of substance. So then you just look at the tzitzis. There's an inyan to look at the tzitzis. The Chafetz Chaim brings, if somebody has a Yetzer Hara, he's going to be bakas, he's going to go speak Lashon Hara. This guy's drasha is mamish, dvarim, betelem ad ma'od. You have that Yetzer Hara. Look at your tzitzis. It has a koyach to fight off the Yetzer Hara. And the Mishna Berura says further, V'ilu hayalahem ezadaran mimelch basar v'dam. Let's say they had a gift from a king of flesh and blood, shechakuk alav shem hamelach, that the name of the king was engraved on. Kama hayu miskashtem, if ne'anoshim tell me, you'll be very boastful. Oh, you see the medal I got? I'm a knight. I'm a king. I have a medallion. V'kavachoymer b'tzitzis. Certainly the tzitzis shemarabis al shem melech machem lachem gilash baruch, that alludes to the name of the Almighty. Kaman misim chavdal tzefei kama miskabed ha'adam anoisei shemaya alav. How honored a person should be who carries the name of Hashem on him. V'amru Chazal, hazohir b'mitzvahs tzitzis zoicha v'roya pnei hashchina. One who is careful in the mitzvah of tzitzis will merit to see the face of the divine. Umasham and haksuvim. It's mashma from the psukim of the Kesuvim, of Tanakh. The HaYehudim she'yisharu le'ez kates, that the Jews that will remain in the end of time, those Jews who will be alive in the end of days, Yiu mitzuyanu b'mitzvazu, will be excellent in this mitzvah. K'mal d'chsiv, uva'u asara anashim mikol hashonos hagoyim. And 10 men will come from all the languages of the world. V'hachziku b'chnaf ish Yehudi, and grab onto the corner of the garment. Which means there's 70 nations in the world. If 10 people from each of these 70 nations will grab on to each corner, so that's 700 goyim per corner, a total of v'amru chazal hazeh kol hazor b'mitzvahs tzitzis zoiche u'mishamshin loy shnei alafim u'shmayna me'as avadim. You will merit to have 2,800 avadim, which is a good thing. I could use a few, I have to send something to the cleaners now. It's a waste of time to have to go. It wouldn't be a bad thing to have a few extra avadim. I could even get one to change the batteries over here, so I don't have to spend so much time. I could think of a few things to use them for. Okay, Sif Yud Beis. Im yesh loy kama begadim shel arba kanfais. You have many garments. Kulam chayavim b'tzitzis. They're all obligated in tzitzis. Vim levasham kulam b'lei hefsek. If you put them all on one after another, vayadaita mitchila al kulam, and you had in mind in the beginning all of them, lo yavarech el bracha achas. So in other words, Rav Scheinberg gets up in the morning. I don't know, maybe he slept in the tzitzis. One of the gentlemen asked yesterday if you should make a new bracha on the talis katan that you changed for Shabbos. So again, we're going to come to that. Rabbi Yeager said he asked Rav Scheinberg. Rav Scheinberg says you do make a bracha. We're going to come to that because is it necessary to be mechavein in the morning when you make the bracha on the tzitzis that it should not go on a future wearing of another garment? But let's say a person has many tzitzis, he's putting them all on at once, you only make one bracha. The mafsik beinam, if you're mafsik in between, tzarich levarich al kol achas v'achas. You have to make a bracha on all of them. Let's see the Mishna Berura. Kulam chayavim. Ratzaloymer im loiv sham kulam. If you put them all on. If you don't put them all on, they're all chayav in tzitzis. Aval munacham b'teva b'turen. If you leave the tzitzis in your drawer, they're pater. Why would I think they're chayav? The kamlan tzitzis chayvas gavra lechavas mana. We paskin, tzitzis is not like mezuzah. Mezuzah, you got to put on the bayis. Tzitzis is not a chiyav on the garment, it's a chiyav on you. If you wear the garment, you have to make the bracha. If you don't wear the garment, you don't have to put tzitzis on the item. Kaman b'simni yates. Mafsik b'neim. Now what does it mean, mafsik b'neim? Hainu, that is, behefsik gadol. There's a big interruption, shu b'chlal hesach hadas, where your mind is diverted. Al b'b'shia zman ma, just delaying, pasuk hamagin avram mishari achron kaman b'simen reish vav, d'shesika loichat shivav saka b'di'evet. Just silence. In other words, let's say I wear 100 pairs of garments. Whether I do or not, I'm not telling you. I don't think if you look at me, anybody would think I wear 100. I personally wear one garment. But let's say I would wear 100, and I would wait an hour in between. So delay of time is not a hefsek. Even if you waited a long amount of time, more than Sham Aleichem Rebbe Umayri. V'imsach beineim, if you talked, if your conversation was for the sake of wearing the garment, you say, bring me my 17th pair of talis. It's in the left drawer. It's obvious you don't have to make another bracha. If it was not for the sake of wearing it, now this is very relevant. You say, how's that relevant? We only wear one garment. Because we said yesterday, you're wearing your talis katan, and you're making a bracha on the talis gadol, I don't know, a half hour later. Probably you spoke in between. So is that like a legitimate way to cover the levisha you did earlier? So you say, well, at least, but right now I'm wearing the talis katan. So the shaila is, what is considered a hefsek? Is talking a hefsek? There are many different opinions. The opinion of the Mechaber and Sif Yud Gimel, the Magen Avram, and many Achroinim, they hold like the Poskim, the Afilu, Sicha, the Alma, Gamkein, Hava B'chal, Hefsik L'Inyan Zeh. The opinion of the Mechaber and many Achroinim, that even regular conversation is considered a Hefsik. Avo yesh min achrim shaboiskim. Some achrim hold the kima the yesh savim bezed the insach lasavar. Some hold you don't have to make another bracha. To have a kamosh shesach be'emtza suda. It's like talking mid of a meal. Mutav shalei lahachnis b'safik bracha. V'chein hiskema prima gadim. So some hold no. This is not like talking regularly. This is like talking mid of a meal, and even irrelevant conversation would not be a hefsek. Therefore, if you wear more than one pair of tzitzis, you should be careful not to talk. And if you did speak, you do not make another bracha, because safek bracha is the kula. Certainly, you should be careful not to be mafsik significantly. The asar ligra bracha, you're not allowed to cause a bracha for naught. Ukilakaman b'siman reish tezvav. Rabbi say we will continue next week, and for now it seems like two things. If you're wearing more than one garment, then if you are mafsik with shtika, it is not a hefsik. If you are mafsik with conversation relevant to the wearing, it's not a hefsik. If you're mafsik with conversation not relevant to the wearing, again, we're not talking about in between the bracha and the wear and the performance of the mitzvah. We're talking about you already did the mitzvah, so the bracha was chal. Now you want to put on another pair. So the bottom line is, even though the Mechaber would say irrelevant conversation is a hefsek, many achronim say it's not, and safik bracha is lahakel, but don't talk. Okay, Rabbi say, have a wonderful day. We'll see you Be'ez Hashem next week. Bracha v'atzlacha, kol tov.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.